flying has gotten a little bit more unpleasant for all of us, but these are extreme circumstances that happen on some of these flights. You know, we heard about the incident this week, but tell us overall, you know, what happens for passengers after this occurs?
Well, usually, surprisingly, passengers don't get a huge amount of money in terms of compensation. For example, in the situation with JetBlue and the pilot who appeared to have some kind of breakdown during the flight, the spokeswoman told me that they're going to get a free one-way ticket and a voucher for twice the value of the seat, which, I mean, you know, considering some of the passengers did help subdue the pilot, and it must have been a terrifying experience.
Right.
It doesn't seem like a lot. If you might remember the so-called miracle on the Hudson.
Right.
Yeah, well, you could forget that.
Sully Sullenberger.
Good old Captain Sully. They got around $5,000 a piece, which again, if you think of, I couldn't even imagine what that must have been like.
Right.
You know. But again, that was a flock of geese that flew into the engines, and one analyst told me that maybe the passengers should be paying Captain Sully $5,000 for saving their lives.
Right.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good point, because these are very two distinct situations. What happened with this JetBlue flight, you would think that an airline has a little more culpability in terms of who is getting in the cockpit and how they are conducting themselves. So, look, I don't want to get into legal issues, but you would think that the airline might say, look, we are a little more responsible for this one, and so a one-way ticket and a couple of vouchers to, you know, keep flying with JetBlue, right, it doesn't seem like a tremendous amount, considering what the passengers had to go through.
Right. And how did they determine? I mean, is there how do they determine which flights get compensated? I mean, if it has to make an emergency landing, is there a certain amount? Is there any formula in this?
I think at the beginning, the formula was how much media coverage, you know, and then they would be, and now a lot of spokespeople say, you know, right off the bat, they're out really fast saying we, you know, given X amount of money, like a $500 ticket maybe for a tarmac delay. So they want to be seen to be reacting as quickly as possible. So it's really more about the speed than it is about the value of the ticket.
All right, Quentin. Well, thank you. And on smartmoney.com, there's a list of some of the significant flights and the compensation that passengers received, so everyone can go check that out. It's an interesting story. I mean, certainly very frightening for a lot of people. Luckily, in these instances we talked about,
it sounds like these
they ended up okay.
These harrowing experiences don't pay.